Yes, it's Today with John and Helen live, and it's time to unpack our guest. He is an experienced marketing consultant, security expert, and enthusiast who has been involved in training different people and professionals on security issues and challenges for many years. It's our pleasure to have you, Deji Aluko.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
This is an area, Deji, of great importance, especially now in our nation. Thank you so much for making time to come and help us find how we can secure better our lives and our property.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, so Helen talked about problems in the north. I know that all the security issues, we have them everywhere, not only in the north. But so we need to, unpack some of these and deal with it, right away as much as we can. We live in communities where we're expected to be our brother's keepers. What happened to the tradition?
So I think we're trying to now become more urban. So we are losing a lot of the cultural heritages we had in the past where we looked out for each other. So it's becoming more and more about I'm on my own, I'm my own person.
Yeah.
We are busy hustling, we are busy going about our daily lives.
So that community thing is
The community thing is no longer there. We're now becoming more westernized, would I say, in our thinking, and which is not a bad thing, but then we should keep some good parts of our culture and then keep the good parts of Western culture and try to merge the two, not just abandon the good sides of our culture. So I agree, the community together would better manage security, because some of the things like the church incidents you mentioned, for instance, if they had a proper vigilante network, I think we might have had an incident, but it would not have been that gruesome. It would not have been that bloody, like it was so inhumane of anybody to just do that. So I think we need to organize more in communities. Even in places like the US, they have community vigilantes. And they even have a better security infrastructure than we have. But still, they still haven't thrown away that part of the community, because it's important for people living in the community who understand the community, who knows who is ailing, who is young, who has kids, to be able to respond when they sense that something is wrong. It's very important.
That's right.
Okay, one key thing I took from your response is the fact that we have become more individualistic.
Exactly. I think
It's
that's the
me,
word.
myself, and I,
Yeah,
and
I
my
think that's the
immediate
word.
family.
That's the word.
Because it used to be so beautiful, when in those days, not too far back, when the gates were not shut, the fences were not so high, the electric barbed wires were not available. The farmers could go to the farms any time of the day and, be sure that nobody is coming to harass or even threaten their lives.
Yeah.
This community thing that you talked about, why is it absent? Why is it absent? Really?
It is, people are beginning to I think we are just, like I said, we are sort of like picking up the wrong things.
Times are changing.
Because if the
Times are changing,
advantages
but we're
are
picking up the wrong
Yeah.
things. For me, it's not difficult for us to go back to what things were if we realize that is the way to live. If our lives are being threatened because we are not properly organized as a community, I think we should start thinking about organizing as a community. In Borno State, the civilian joint task force is a core part of the security activity going on there. And they are recording some successes. Initially, they were not part of the security operations, but now they are a major part of that operation, and they are recording they understand the forests better, for instance. So when they go hunting and they see something untoward, they can easily raise an alarm. So it is important that we start integrating community back into it. Then we should become friendlier. One of my lecturers told me once, he said, when I was younger, the first time I went abroad was through a neighbor whom I just used to go to her house to help out, and then she felt I was very, 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 very helpful. So she had to travel abroad and felt, this girl has been very helpful to me. Dad, mom, can she come with me? And that was how she went with the neighbor.
Wow.
And she was now telling us that our generation, we don't even know the next neighbor. We don't even know who the person is.
You can't even date. No,
We don't even know who the person is.
Yeah.
I met somebody recently and I was like, oh, you live near me? Oh, I didn't know that.
My goodness.
Okay, so let's get a better understanding of, because it's like we're all paying lip service to security, you know. Now, excuse me, certainly, you know, home security doesn't start with and end with keeping the front door, the back door locked. You know,
Yeah.
could you just throw some more light on what exactly security would be?
Okay. So, like in security, we would like to say, like the common parlance, prevention is better than cure. So, security starts from the prevention. You don't even wait for. So, for example, I want to rent a house.
Yeah.
I've not bothered to survey the area or even ask the neighbors that how is this area in
Neighborhood.
terms of security?
Yes.
What if I even have to move in? What precautions should I take? What experiences have you had?
Yeah.
I remember I wanted to rent a house sometime, and I went to a church near the place on a Sunday, and people were giving testimonies about robberies, about home invasions, about. So that gave me an inkling that okay, I think this place is not
This area.
as safe as I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So it's because of that I had to reorganize my plans. So we need to understand before I even move into this house, what are the things that have been happening in this area before. So it can help me get a better perspective about the threats that are around. Then I can now decide on what measures to take if I want
Yeah.
to still continue to live there.
Okay.
So, for instance, you're moving into a new house. You've not changed the locks. What if the former person still has spare keys and just comes and opens the door when they're sleeping and just comes to sleep
You know, we never
on the same bed? You never thought about all those kind of things. Nobody. I had a neighbor who told me that she doesn't stay on the down floor anymore wherever she goes because one day she was sleeping and she just saw somebody standing in front of her on her bed.
Wow.
Whoa.
She just woke up and saw somebody in front of her.
No.
And since then, she never stayed on the down flat again. Because she felt it's
Helen,
easier.
what floor are you?
Okay, so go.
She felt it was easier to gain access.
Yeah.
So that was her own mitigating plan. That
Okay,
because
So she would rather go.
I'd rather stay.
So your experience, your awareness, your entire being, you know, the desire to prevent, you know, things that you really would not be happy about in terms of security, they are all the things that should guide us
They are the,
on
that's
a
the
daily
starting point.
basis.
That's the
Okay.
starting point. Your
Okay.
consciousness, security conscious. A lot of people are not security conscious.
Okay.
If you were to go to a company now and you tell them that I noticed this, and this about your security, do you want to address it? They're like, it's God that protects.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we have like under 10 minutes, you know, to wrap up this segment. So it looks like security is now more technologically driven than ever. Even at the domestic level, how do we keep up with this technology, you know, in security, gadgets and all of that?
So the good thing about technology is that it makes solutions more available and accessible.
Okay.
So because of technology now, you don't even have to be in your house to know that somebody's in your house. If you have a good CCTV camera that can even be linked to an alarm system and your phone, you could be in the office and get an alert that somebody's in your house. Motion sensor.
So your phone tells you.
The camera picks motion and you get
transmits to
an
you.
alert on your phone
Whoa.
that something is happening in your house and you check, okay, is it a friendly person or an enemy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's my wife or it's my neighbor, I gave him the key, or you can confirm. Or if it's somebody you don't know, you can also call the police that there's so and so person. So technology makes solutions more available, easy to use, easy to get, even cheaper. So with that kind of system, you could get it for maybe less than 50,000 and you are getting reports about what's happening in your house. Some people even use it to monitor their nannies and their babies at home. So
But
you live here.
arguably, you said it's cheaper.
Yes.
Because I think that's arguable, because a lot of people complain that
these things
it's not
are
that they don't know
expensive.
about security, but that it's too expensive for them to afford.
And that's why we're talking about affordable ways and means here.
So in security, when you make your case, one of the things you start with is the cost you are losing is more than the cost you're spending. So for instance, if a thief comes into your house and steals your laptop, you're not going to deliver on your businesses for the next few days.
Yeah.
You're going to lose
it goes
reputation.
beyond the physical laptop.
Exactly. You're going to lose reputation with your customers who have been waiting for you to send them quotes or documents or reports or proposals. You're going to lose all that, and they'll tell other people it's not reliable because they're not aware a thief came to your house. Right? So you need to prevent all that. You are losing a lot more.
Yeah.
But with that kind of a camera, you could track who the person is.
But this is applicable more in the, in the urban areas than the rural dwellers. Aren't we thinking about their welfare too?
No, we are. So that was why we started talking from the perspective of the community.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So that's where the community comes in.
Okay.
There's a friend of mine. She was in her sister's house, and robbers were coming into their house, and the neighbor was trying to alert them that somebody is entering through your window. But I think they had an altercation with the neighbor a few days earlier. So it was like, why is he disturbing me?
Can you imagine?
I'm not picking the call. And this guy was trying to tell them that somebody is entering through your window. So that's part of the prevention that I was talking about. Because in security, part of prevention is maintaining good relations with your environment.
Wow.
You're trying to
There's a lot involved.
You're trying to reduce provocation.
True.
Yeah.
If she had a good relationship with the neighbor, she would probably have picked the call. Hey, my friend, what's up? And I would have told, and that person would have told them that somebody is trying to enter your house, and they could have probably.
But that person should have called the police.
Yeah.
So
we live in a society where people have sort of lost hope in the system, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah.
So, and many people are of the opinion that even if I call the police is not going to come. Then again, at such a time, people think sort of like under duress. So the first thing that comes to their mind is, oh, I think that's a thief. What do I need to do? Yeah. That might be the first thing that came to her mind, and that was the first thing she did.
But I mean, you see, that points at a general problem that we may have with our security. Because I know that growing up, we didn't have all these private security companies and all that. But maybe because, the level of
insecurity,
reliability on, dwindle at some point. I know they're working on it. That we've had to resolve. But now my question is, how much can we rely on these private security agencies that we have? So many of them they just pick people from the streets and put uniforms on.
They're more security. They're more gate men than security men.
So, like I tell people, what would life be like without our security agencies? I think it would be a lot worse than we have it now.
Okay.
Without them?
No. If we didn't have them,
I think life would be worse.
Well, a whole lot worse than we have it now. I remember when I used to work somewhere some years back, and I used to close very late at night, sometimes as late as 2 a.m. at night, right? And the only consolation I used to have driving back home was that I had 5 police stop points on the way. So I used to plan that, okay, if I get a flat tire here, I won't stop until I get here.
To the next.
If I reach here, I'm sure there are policemen there. So I planned my life
around
those as
milestones,
irresponsible as we would like to think they were. They were my only saviors at the time. So I said to myself, what if they were not there? We know these guys have some shortcomings, but I think they're a whole lot better being there than not being there. So take advantage of them as much as you can. And you could also augment whatever services you are getting with private security. So I tell people, for instance, you want to get a security man for your home, and you just call somebody whose background you know nothing about. You don't know if he had committed a crime somewhere and ran from there to your place. You don't know whether he could give you up to kidnappers someday, and then you now stay in that same house with that same guy that I know people whose security challenges were orchestrated by their gate men.
Yeah.
But if you go through private security companies, they would have done at least some level of background check.
Okay.
And this also goes to other domestic staff, house girls, like we call them, drivers. Make sure you do enough background check before.
Let me dive in. Yeah, you want to dive in?
Yeah, because we have less than 5 minutes to go now. Because we said this should be as practical as it gets, as it should be. So could you please give us at this point a few everyday tips, for basic security in our homes and even while we go around about our businesses?
Okay. All right. So one thing I want to start with is use technology as much as possible. We talked about CCTVs earlier.
Yeah.
Get cameras around. There are cheaper cameras these days. So you could get cameras and you could link them with an alarm system and the app on your phone. So you can monitor what's happening in your house anytime.
Okay.
You just go on your phone, go to the app, you go to your house, see whether there's anybody moving around that you.
And Aluko is available to put us through.
Definitely.
We have less than 2 minutes to go.
Definitely. Also make sure that you have all your domestic staff, they've all been properly briefed on the do's and don'ts of security, and you have a proper background check done on anybody coming close to you.
Yeah.
Light up your environments properly so that from inside the house you can see if somebody's coming in. The primary aim is to prevent. You need to deter the criminal. So that's why you need the system. So some thieves even come and they see that this one has camera, they will see me. Let me not bother.
True.
Another way to do that is to even put a poster outside your gate that this house is covered by CCTV. And all footages are online. So you know that when you are coming in, some people will still decide to come in, but then you know that's majority of criminals would not bother anymore.
Yep. Okay.
The majority of criminals will not bother anymore. But the few that decide to come in, you put in other measures, make sure your locks, your doors are properly fortified.
Wow.
So you don't just use normal doors, the hinges, there are a lot of security doors that are common these days.
Yeah.
And I noticed that most homes are beginning to implement that. So I think that's a good thing. So we have those kind of doors to prevent just anybody from coming in.
You had a question.
No, I was just going to say, well, we hope that electricity supply will also help
Yes.
So the technology part of it, they are taking that into consideration. So there are cameras that you can charge with your normal USB, and it works for 12 hours or thereabouts. So
we're good.
The security part the technology part is taking care of that to a very large extent.
Okay, Aluko is the man to go to. In fact, the one that blew my mind is the issue about changing locks when you're moving into a new apartment. It never crossed my mind. You're always so excited, so eager to get the keys from the landlord or the landlady, and you're ready to move in, just like that. All right, so home security, affordable ways and means to security, lives and property with the help of Aluko, Deji, Aribisala, security expert and enthusiast. Thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on these issues of security.
And really, that was very practical.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I must say that was a necessity. Great to have you with us, and I hope that we'll have you again soon on this program.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for coming.
Always my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. So very quickly, we shall pause for another break. When we return, it will be time to meet our next guest and learn some very important survivor lessons from her. She's a survivor, not a victim. You will see her after the break. Don't go away.